Revenge films.
For the first time in a year, I saw my older sister, who looked a decade older than she really is. This time, I found her looking a decade younger than she really is. She was often psychologically abused by her husband. Up until a year ago, she was working full-time, with the occasional overwork included, and also did all the housework. Meanwhile, her husband's job had banned overwork, so he always came home at a usual time. But even so, when she would come home late, say 7:30, he would always say,
"Why didn't you prepare dinner? You're a housewife, remember? This is just ridiculous. How can you not understand something this simple? Is it because you're stupid? Am I talking to a stupid head?"
He always insulted her. Other than that, he would also say,
"Need I remind you I let you go to work because you wanted to? But that's no excuse to slack off on housework. It's obvious everything must always be perfection."
But the real reason why she was working was because the family couldn't support with just her husband's low income. He would say these things when he can't even make enough money to give them a good life. It's always her fault the housework just piles up. And by the way, the culprits of such a mess would be her husband and her son, my nephew. If all that wasn't enough, she was also subjected to relentless abuse from her mother-in-law. Always with impeccable timing, she would pop in. "Miss Caitlin, how are you this much of a sloppy Joe? Honestly, I wish we had a more useful wife around here." She would say as she chortled. Her husband thought that, as a woman, it was her obligation to make the house look perfect all the time. They treated her so disrespectfully that even her son, my nephew, started to take her for granted.
"Oi, dirty whore! I told you to clean up my room, didn't I? Well, why didn't you? You trash!"
He would even physically abuse her. Her husband would do nothing to stop it. I recommended divorce to her numerous times, but our parents passed on when we were students, so she has nowhere to go. Additionally, I'm also married, and because of my husband transferring branches, I went with him to a city far away from where my sister lives. That's why she would save a bit of what she made every time. I offered her a place to stay, but she stubbornly declined. My brainwashed nephew seemed to have been quite a bright student, so I thought it natural that he would go to university. But the situation changed when my sister saw a certain bulletin. That day, her son told her to clean his room, but when she went inside to do that chore, she saw his computer on sleep mode. She touched it lightly, and the screen flared to life. There, she found that several conversations of him with his mother and grandmother talking nasty shit about her had been posted online. A month later, she went to a meeting between herself, her son, and his school teacher. My nephew was apparently shooting for an academic recommendation, and the school was all for approving it. But my sister said, "I don't intend to send him to university." The teacher stood stunned while her son yelled,
"You dirty whore! You speak horse shit!"
Yup, his true colors are now public. Then my sister said, "Together with his father and grandmother, this is what he did to me. His own mother." As soon as I saw this, I knew that everything I'd ever worked for was all for nothing. Of course, I don't object to him going to school under a scholarship. That would be wonderful. But his compulsory education is ending soon, and I've decided to quit looking after him. She showed the online blogs on her phone to the teacher as she explained everything. They showed abusive talk about her, and they sometimes even said that if she couldn't work anymore, they'd get her insurance and eventually kill her. My nephew and his teacher alike went paler than ghosts. And after retrieving her phone, my sister left. Naturally, her son's academic recommendation was scrubbed. And upon finding out about this, her husband and her mother-in-law turned monstrous and relentlessly interrogated her.
You know you destroyed our son's future?
I don't see someone who, together with his father and grandmother, would conspire to murder me after I've outlived my use as my own son. And I obviously no longer see you as my husband. I want a divorce.
Enough nonsense! Can you survive on your own out there?
I believe you took the words out of my own mouth. In any case, you'll lose the right of veto soon enough.
Eh? What did you say?
You do know that the wife of your colleague, Mr. Maddox, is a friend of mine, right? So I told her about what I saw online. She told me to abandon this excuse of a family immediately. I held everything in up until now, but I genuinely think she's right.
You bitch! What'd you go doing that for? You want to ruin my life too, or what? You fix everything and say that you made a mistake! Now!
Why the hell would I try to fix what we both know is the truth? I think you should be more concerned about how you are gonna fix all this. That was her parting shot, and she left, never to return. At the time, I was worried about her because she just left her home without any place to go. But she said, just because I'm living alone now, doesn't mean I can slack off on work. Until I find a new place, I'll stay at an internet cafe. I'll be fine. However, a colleague of hers who found out about what happened arranged things with the company and rented out a room with full furniture to her. After she left, my nephew, with that personality of his, was condescending to classmates who didn't get very good grades all the time. But after his academic recommendation was scrubbed, the tables had turned completely, and now they were condescending to him, it would seem. He stopped going to school altogether, and now he's living at home as a recluse. The consequences of his actions came flooding back. Her husband was verbally abusive, but my nephew was physically abusing her, so this story made me feel so good inside when I first heard it. As for her mother-in-law, rumors started to spread, and her tea time friends found out that she was bullying her daughter-in-law. Now loneliness is her newest BFF. She would walk outside and, "That woman! She abused her in-law and even threatened her life, you know!"
No way! That's terrible. I'd rather die than talk to her.
The black gossip hits too hard. And now she never goes outside anymore. And finally, her husband. With all the psychological abuse, and the rumor of him using her as leverage for insurance money started to circulate. His colleagues were like,
You know he was planning on killing his own wife for insurance cash, right?
And his wife is such a sweet, wonderful person. Unbelievable. He ain't human, I tell you.
it spread like wildfire. Having someone like that working for them would be a negative image. The company decided, and he was fired. Soon after, he said to my sister,
You did this! You ruined all of our happiness! You take responsibility now! Compensate for your frickin' damage!
But the outcome was the complete opposite. Her lawyer demanded he pay her compensation for the abuse. The utter malice of what they said online was so strong. My sister even went to the police, I hear. From when she was young, my sister has a habit of writing in a daily journal. So that, along with the online posts, was solid proof for winning and demanding lots of compensation from her ex. Now divorced, my sister worked all the harder. When she was still with her ex, her voice always sounded sad and quiet. But she looks the picture of health and beauty when I saw her after a year. Apparently, after the divorce, she studied for a certain qualification so she could live on her own. And she's moved up ranks, the taciturn, depressed voice from a year ago transformed into an echo of strength, and she was enjoying her life now. A little bird told me that after all this, my nephew never went to university, nor did he step outside his room ever, and I heard he gained weight. Her ex found another job after that, but the rumors of him abusing someone became a curse of his. He quit after no more than 3 months, and now he has a social phobia. But he still worked because of his parasitic son eating so much. But that led him to mental illness, and he's admitted to a hospital. I hear her ex, her son, and her in-law all suffered the retaliating blow pretty badly. Needless to say, good riddance, huh?
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.